You've probably heard people say GMOs are dangerous or crossbreeding is the same as genetic modification. But is that really true? Let's break down the myths, the science, and why it all matters for the food on your plate. First, let's define them. Crossbreeding is when farmers naturally select two plants with desired traits and breed them over generations. This gave us fruits like seedless watermelons and hybrid tomatoes. So those watermelons you call GMOs are not GMOs. Remember that. I grew up in an agricultural environment, so it's something we saw effortlessly when it's done. However, GMO equals to direct surgery, just like a surgery on DNA, adding a single superpower gene directly to the plant. Just think about that. So skipping generations of trial and error, and you get things like the apricot hybrid of plum and I think the BT corn with pest-resistant genes. So crossbreeding, I would say, equal to natural selection, and GMO equal to direct DNA modification. Because when I see social media, and people saying things that are not real and not right, it makes my heart bleed. And this is why I'm here, to really give you the facts, the science behind what you hear on social media. So tell me, which one surprises you more? Comment below. I want to hear from you. I want to make sure we're learning and moving along together. So let's see, why do we use GMO and crossbreeding? So when facing urgent crises like crop diseases, speed matters. And this is when GMO is really, really important in this regard. They can also help reduce environmental harm or drought. The resistant crops, they help in climate change. Finally, GMO supports higher yields to feed growing population. People are having so many babies. There's a growing population. There is food insecurity globally. And GMO has really, really been beneficial in that aspect. So when people are talking down on GMO, remember, sometimes other people are feeding because there is something called GMO. So the scientists are not just jobless looking for what to do in the laboratory. No, they are trying to feed the growing population. There's migration. People are moving from one country to another. And some other countries are not even having enough food to feed others. This is where GMO plays a huge role in feeding the growing population. Let's look at the benefits of crossbreeding. Crossbreeding helps create better flavors and textures. Shelf life, for example, the seedless fruits, the seedless watermelon we talked about before, that we say they are GMOs. No, most of them are crossbred. Also, they help create natural disease resistance products. Example, the disease resistant wheat, and so on. Crossbreeding is really important. As we have seen their benefits, they also have downsides. GMOs concerns are potential allergy risk. Yeah, because you're cooking up this crop in the lab, you don't even know, the risk in allergy, because new proteins in the food might arise, as well as resistance buildup. Like, for example, the bulbs adapting to BT crops. So this is where and why there are so many studies, texts, and data collected before any GMO plant is released to ensure it is safe for human consumption. We don't just work on these things and just set it out in the market or for people to consume. You have to make sure it also meets regulatory standards, for whichever country it is for. Crossbreeding concerns are that it takes decades to develop useful traits, unpredictable results, because you can't say what the results are going to be. Sometimes they lead to weaker plants. The plants are not even going to be juicer, they are even useless, and they're even thrown away. So crossbreeding is just more like a farmer trying out things, and it will take years, or maybe 2 years or 3 years, to show up, and then you might not even like whatever trait that came up from it. But it takes a whole lot of time. Did you know that crossbreeding isn't always 100% natural, and that not all crops are approved for GMO like most people think? I always argue that, and I always try to educate people around me on this. But let's look into the crops that are GMO and why some are not FDA approved. GMO crops in the market are corn, especially like I mentioned before, the pest-resistant BT corn, soybeans, the herbicide-resistant soybeans. We also have papaya, the virus-resistant papaya, and we have the canola for oil production, the sugar beets, herbicide-resistant sugar beets, and also the pest-resistant cottons. So these are the reasons why some of these crops are not FDA approved for GMO use. The concerns, for example, for wheat, the concerns are over cross-pollination, because if a farmer has a large farm and that has organic and GMO products, they can cross-pollinate. So those are not approved for GMO farming. Another product that is not FDA approved is the golden rice. This contains a gene to produce vitamin A, but it's facing resistance over ownership rights and regulatory hurdles, and also environmental concerns. So it's not FDA approved. And also we have the potatoes. Some GMO potatoes were approved, but others were denied over concerns about how they break down after cooking, because some of them produce potentially harmful compounds, so they were not approved. I know you expected rice to be on this list, right? But sorry to burst your bubbles, rice is not on this list. So not everything you see in the market is GMO approved or genetically modified. If you live in Canada, I have a list of approved GMO foods in the market, so just be informed. Don't let anyone put fear into you saying everything in the market is genetically modified. No, they are not. So let's debunk some myths. Some people say that GMO is about injecting chemicals into food. This is false. The truth is, genetic modification works at the seed level, long before the plant grows. No chemicals are injected into the food you eat, my people. GMOs go through years of safety testing, checking of the allergenicity, toxicity, and also the environmental impacts before it even hits the market. You have to know that. Nobody just does any fabrication in the lab and puts it out there. Now you know the facts about GMO. And crossbreeding and GMO are both tools. Just remember that. Remember that both of them have pros and cons. It's all about how they are used. The key is learning the facts and making informed choices. Don't fall for fear-mongering. Remember, smart food equals to smart choices. Did you find it helpful? Like, subscribe, and share this with someone who's still confused about GMOs. Let's spread facts and not fear. Make sure you're not believing anything you see off the internet. Do your research, learn, and equip yourself with knowledge. Remember, knowledge is power. Subscribe for more food safety and science insights. Bye for now.